Hi, and welcome. So, you clicked on my unedited and low quality video today because you've been suffering with mono, the Epstein Barr virus, for what feels like too long. You got symptoms that are lasting for too long, and you're worried sick, and you can't focus. You feel like your life has been essentially stolen from you. You're not the person, the man, the woman, the guy, the gal that you were before this happened. I can relate. Um, I'm Matthew. I'm 29 years old, and I got my official diagnosis with Epstein Barr virus and acute infectious mononucleosis um, on what was it, the January 23rd of 2025. Right now that I'm making this video, it's March 3rd. It's a Monday. 2025. So I've been dealing with because I had symptoms on the 15th that started with headache and like severe fatigue. Like I needed to go to bed at 3 p.m. I just felt awful. Uh, but there's the 15th when that started. So now my mono symptoms were and aren't as severe as maybe yours were or potentially are right now. You might be looking for questions really early in your mono, looking for answers to your questions very early in your mono. Uh, so, like, what are the symptoms? The symptoms could be like the grossest and gnarliest sore throat of your life. I didn't get that. If I could show you the back of my throat right now after 7 weeks, it's still red and veiny and concerning because right, I should be better right now. All the way better at 7 weeks, right? And I still have lymphadenopathy, as the doctors would call it, or swollen glands that you can't really see in my neck anymore because they have shrunk considerably, and that might be the case for you too. You might have, your lymph nodes have shrunk, but they haven't gone away, and you're wondering why is this? Why is it like this? And your fatigue hasn't fully gone away. You don't feel like you have the energy that you had before this. You try to work out now because maybe your energy has gotten a little bit better, but it's not. It just isn't what it was. So yeah, so you're struggling. You're struggling a lot, and you're thinking, is this going to be the rest of my life? And maybe you're like me. I hope you're not, but maybe you are like me, and maybe I'm not helping you now with what I'm about to say. But maybe you got on Google like real early in this. And Google's not the enemy, but it's not really our friends when we're starting to develop cases of what one would call hypochondria. Um, and hypochondria, for people who don't know, maybe you've heard of the term before, it's Latin. It just means mind, body, right? And so your mind and your body and that mind body connection that's run through your vagus nerve is now hyperactive. Things are going on. Your mind is telling you this and that. So oh gosh, I'm getting off track. You'll have to forgive me. I have ADHD as well, which you might also have that. So I get a little. Please try to stick around with me because I do have really good, important things to say. Trust me, that might really change your situation. So, and honestly, you might be dealing with symptoms way longer than I have because I'm at week 7. You could be at week 21, week 12. You could be at month 21. I've gotten on the forums. I've read these forums where people are like, "Hi, I'm on month 21 and I'm still experiencing this and that, and it's caused by my mono. My stomach is messed up. I have these aches and pains on my left side, or I have it on my right side, and I can't even lay on my left side. And it's all because of this mono. And I've gone to the doctor so many times. I've gone to the doctor, and they say that I'm fine, or they noticed that I had mild gastritis after I got an upper endoscopy, and that the doctor's not concerned, and that I just need to make some diet changes. And all of this is being blamed on the Epstein-Barr virus. Or I've been feeling crappy lately, and it's 6 months later, and I went to my doctor, and he run an Epstein-Barr panel, and my IgM score is still through the roof, and so it must still be active, and so because of that, I'm still sick, and I'm worried, and everything is horrible. Well, what I can tell you when it comes to Epstein-Barr panels and antibodies are your body's reaction to antigens. In this particular case, this particular antigen is the Epstein-Barr virus. Whether your body feels like it needs this particular antibody or that particular antibody, it's just your body putting up barriers to deal with something that's going to be in your body forever. Um, and that sounds discouraging. Oh no, I have this in my body forever. Well, if you got chicken pox when you were 6, you have a herpes virus that's been in your body forever. Or if you're one of those people that got herpes simplex 1 or herpes simplex 2, so you have oral or genital herpes or cold sores, that's another herpes virus that's going to be in your body forever. There's like eight or 10 herpes viruses. Many people who aren't as hyper focused as we are could have 3 or 4 different herpes viruses in their body, and they're strong and they're happy and they're healthy. And when they feel bad, they just attribute it to feeling bad, and it doesn't ruin their life, and they treat their symptoms. That's it. And you could be looking at Matthew right now, who's talking to you, and being like, well, thanks, Matt, but I still feel like shit, and I do treat my symptoms, and I don't feel any better. So thanks, but no thanks. I know. I feel the same way. Or I have chronic fatigue syndrome, Matthew, and I got chronic fatigue syndrome from the Epstein-Barr virus, and so I can't work out, and I can't do the things that I need to do to make myself feel better, because when I do them, I feel worse. Okay, I hear you. And I talked to my doctor. My doctor says this, that it's counter, I don't even know what you're saying yet, Matt. Okay. So what I've been trying to say this entire time is your battle with mono is probably over, and probably has been over for a while. And now you're thinking, okay, what the hell are you saying, Matt? There's a website I'd like you to go on. If you're anything like me, you've been all over Google. You've researched everything that you could possibly research, and it's all just kind of left you feeling either the same or worse. Website is called anxietycenter.com, and that's center spelled with R-E, not E-R. On that website, you'll have access to therapists, which I highly recommend you get one. I have one currently through BetterHelp. That's a pretty affordable way, too, if you want to go through BetterHelp. They have a list of all the symptoms that you could possibly feel from anxiety. And I've had a generalized anxiety disorder since I was 12. I thought I knew what anxiety felt like and the symptoms it could cause. I learned at 29 after getting mono. I was wrong. I didn't know all the symptoms that could possibly be caused by anxiety. And I'm here to tell you that what you're feeling right now, my side hurts and I can't lay down, my chronic fatigue, all these other things that happen. Oh, I get swollen glands when I work out too much, which is that could be. There's a whole bunch of different things with that. When it comes to the swollen glands and stuff like that, I don't know if I have a direct answer for that yet. But as long as they're benign, it's nothing to worry about, and you shouldn't worry about it. But anxiety, for me, especially during this, has been more debilitating than the mono. It just has. And I think I highly recommend that you explore anxiety as a cause for the reason why you feel like your mono has been lasting so long. And I'll tell you why and what I learned from that. I found out not just a few days ago, actually, because I had this burning sensation in my stomach. I thought it was coming from the inside. So I was taking antacids and they weren't helping. And my mom suggested I take this aloe vera mixture and drink that, and that would repair my stomach. I saw a doctor about it who tested me for H. pylori, which is a bacteria that can cause ulcers and gastritis and things like that, which I came back negative. And all these other things, I was I couldn't sleep at night. I go to bed and it would burn even worse. And it just wouldn't help. And it was just all centered right here. And I was taking Ativan and Lexapro as well, low doses of Lexapro, taking Ativan. So I'm like, I was like, I should feel better. If this is a nervous system thing, I should feel better. And I was spiraling. I was freaking out. I was thinking, if I'm not cut out for chronic illness, I'm eventually going to lose my job. I'm not going to be able to provide for my wife or my daughter. I'm freaking out. I'm on the phone with my mom. My mom's just like, Matt, chill out. Like all these things. And I was feeling like I couldn't win. The minute I start to feel better with my mono, or I'm getting my energy back, maybe I'm feeling like I can run. Maybe, like, especially you might be feeling right now where you're like, oh, I wake up in the morning and I have energy, and then I go to exercise and then I don't have it anymore. And maybe it's still the Epstein-Barr virus, doing this and that. And maybe my mono is just going to last forever and I'm never going to be the same. But I'm starting to feel better. But now I got this burning sensation in my gut and it won't go away. So I stopped to think about for a while. I'm sitting up. I can't sleep right. So I'm thinking about this burning sensation I'm feeling. And I realized I remember this. I remember feeling a burning sensation like this once. And it was after the mother of my child, she left me. And we've been together since we were 15 and 16. And we were together till I was about 26. And she cheated on me. She got pregnant with my daughter. She left me. It was horrible. And my anxiety disorder, which I had found a way to really kind of get a lid on, like exploded. And so I was at my mom's place and I'm sleeping in her bed and I couldn't really, I slept like an hour and then my anxiety woke me up and I felt this burning sensation all over my shoulders and in my chest and across my face. And it was horrible, horrible, horrible. But I woke up and I shook it off and it just kind of faded away. And then, I was dealing with just all the other symptoms of anxiety that I had been feeling. And I didn't think anything of it, over these last 4 years or so. So I'm like, wait, what could this burning be related? And as I started to come to that realization, the burning that I was feeling here started to move down into my lower abdomen. And then I was starting to feel it on my arms. And then it was spreading across my back and my chest. And I realized this is anxiety. But I'm like, why isn't it going away? And so I start searching YouTube. I figure YouTube is better because Google's done nothing but hurt me this entire time. So YouTube might be a better source. So I start looking up burning sensations caused by anxiety. And I come across some videos. One that brought me to the website anxietycenter.com, and then a few other ones that explain that many people deal with burning sensations caused by anxiety. But after I got and which is like, okay, well, Matthew, you explained a burning sensation. I don't even have a burning sensation. You're not helping me right now. I get it. We're all different. We're all experiencing this in a different way. But essentially, I got onto this website and I'm finding like just example after example after example after example. I mean, you just keep reading of all these symptoms that anxiety can cause. Earworms, which it's not actual worms, but it's like a song that's stuck in your head that won't ever go away. Popping, electrical shock signals that you feel in your back or your in your head. Pressure or burning or tingling sensations in your groin or on your skin in all different places. Pain, like chronic pain. Anxiety can cause chronic pain that'll have you in and out of the ER. And it gets focused in places that, in all sorts of places. So if your lingering symptom of mono that you're feeling right now is chronic pain or chronic fatigue or just all these other weird sensations that you might be feeling that you're attributing to this Epstein-Barr virus just throwing your system out of whack, it's very not likely the Epstein-Barr virus. It's probably more likely that your nervous system is hyper-stimulated by anxiety. And you might be thinking, as I'm telling you this, well, Matt, I don't have a history of anxiety. I don't have a panic attack disorder. I was a perfectly normal person before this mono, and it's obviously mono. I was a normal kid at 12 years old before I got anxiety, and something happened that sparked it. And I'll tell you this too: chronic active Epstein-Barr virus, lymphomas, multiple sclerosis, all these things that Google tell you that is linked, lupus, all these other things that Google tell you can be linked to the Epstein-Barr virus, they're not common. You're not going to be the most sadly unique person that got this thing. You know what's more common than that is childhood trauma, body changing to the simple trauma of what mono is. Mono is traumatic, especially if you had it really severely, where maybe you suffered from your tonsils practically swelling all the way up, where you couldn't breathe very well, or you had a sore throat that was so bad that you couldn't even swallow. You're just drooling onto a towel. You couldn't even swallow your own spit, or you had really bad viral hepatitis from it, and you just felt horrible, horrible, horrible. Or you had really bad swollen spleen that was like giving you stomach issues, and it was really bad. That's traumatic, and it lasted for a month or more before you started to kind of get better from that. But then you had all these issues. It's super traumatic, and it's super stressful. You're under so much stress, and that stress can horribly overstimulate your nervous system. And your nervous system is the super highway for every sensation you feel. If you're going to talk about like the burning sensation that I've been experiencing, if I was holding my arm over an open flame, that horrible stinging pain I feel is not it's not the sensation of fire. It's caused by the fire in that instance because the fire is burning me and my body's telling me I need to get away from this fire because if it don't, I'm going to get cooked alive. Yes. But the feeling that I felt is completely made up by my nervous system, which means that if my nervous system should be ever so compelled, without any fire being anywhere near me, I can feel that same intense, scalding hot burning that I would if I had to hold my hand over an open flame. And that's relative to what I'm feeling, but it's also relative to anything that you could be feeling. If you got kicked in the liver today, that shock wave of horrible aching, I can't even lay down, I don't know what to do, I feel like I'm going to throw up, it's not the sensation of being kicked in the liver. Although if that was the case, yes, it would cause it. But it's just what your nervous system is capable of doing to send you a signal to let you know that trauma has happened. And so because you suffered this invisible attacker for so long, your nervous system is like, okay, obviously something's wrong. I should tell you about it. Even though you're better, your nervous system's like, are you sure you're better? Because you're not sure. And if you're not sure, then I'm not sure. And if I'm not sure, I need to let you know that something's wrong so you can get away from it and so you can help yourself fix it, whatever the case might be. So, and I'm still dealing with it. I'm on here sharing this information now. It's 7 weeks of mono. Not because I've got it all sorted out and I fixed it and I'm all better now and I'm back to the way I was and everything is great and I'm going to live the next 70 years, which I would be horribly old if I lived another 70 years, but however many years, worry-free and then my Epstein-Barr virus is going to be asleep for all that time. Probably won't. My mom got mono when she was 9 and it was way worse than mine. Her swollen glands in her armpits and her groin and everything that she was going through was so bad she had to sleep with a blanket between her legs to keep the pressure off. She was sick for 9 months. But she got better, and for the last 50 years, she can't really recall that she has had any issues. One of the biggest reasons why she can't recall that she's had any issues from the Epstein-Barr virus is that she was in her 50s when she found out she had the Epstein-Barr virus. She got mono in the 70s. We knew a lot about it, but there was no reason to tell a 9-year-old that you have EBV. So and there wasn't any Google, so she wasn't doom scrolling through Google focused on this particular issue. And so she lived she had a pretty traumatic life, but it wasn't because of Epstein-Barr virus. It's because of a bunch of other factors, my dad and his drug abuse and all these other things. But what I'm trying to say is that I could be wrong for some of you, but I'm pretty sure I'm right for a lot of you and me because I'm in the group with you guys. I'm right here with you. the battle with mono is over, I think. I think the battle with mono is over, and your battle with anxiety and your your hyperstimulated nervous system has just begun. The good news is there's a lot of help and a lot of resources. I do not recommend medication. For those of you that were like me who may have gotten on Lexapro or Buspirone or Buspar, if you will, or Xanax or Klonopin or Ativan like I did, to deal with this anxiety that you feel like you're having, or these feelings of depression or just generalized unwellness, I would highly recommend talking to your doctor about getting off of them. Or if you just started them, I would just, like, it's only been like a week, I would stop now, honestly, because you have a better chance of a full healing and control of what's going on with your body and how you feel through addressing the underlying issues of your anxiety than you do with medicating yourself. Because when it comes to medication, you're trading one problem for another. There are side effects and withdrawal symptoms and everything that can go on with medication that you just don't need. Your body's already overstimulated. You don't need to mess with your serotonin levels. You don't need to mess with your GABA inhibitors. You don't need to mess with your dopamine levels unnaturally like that. There's other ways to naturally help when you're having issues, like L-theanine and maybe CBD, CBG. But I just from one friend to another, I just really cannot recommend pharmaceuticals to deal with your emotions and your anxiety and those things right now. I just wouldn't do that. There's a lot of videos out there on how to deal with chronic fatigue syndrome, how to address anxiety and all those other things, which, by the way, chronic fatigue syndrome, people say there's no cure for chronic fatigue syndrome. Syndromes are not diseases. They're not disabilities. There is treatment. There is a way to overcome chronic fatigue syndrome, and a lot of what causes chronic fatigue syndrome, and if you read the right articles, you talk to the right doctors, they will say that it's actually been disproven that Epstein-Barr virus is linked to chronic fatigue syndrome. It's just another symptom of a hyperstimulated. It's another symptom of a hyperstimulated nervous system. And a hyperstimulated nervous system can cause every single feeling of an outside action. Your nervous system explains every single thing that could ever happen to you. It explains a horrible beating that you could have received if you got mugged. It explains the feeling of being burned. It explains the feeling of drowning. It explains the feeling of sickness. It explains all of that. Your nervous system is the only thing that tells you when something happened. But when your nervous system is overstimulated, it sends those signals in all different kinds of ways to you from no source at all. And you, being a rational thinker, or maybe right now you feel like probably an irrational thinker, are trying to search all over the place to explain these feelings that you're feeling, which they haven't come from anywhere other than the fact that your nervous system is hyperstimulated. And really, you don't have to take it from me. Please do your own research, because I have this explanation now because of the research that I've done. There's very simple ways to start addressing that. And the main two ways is, one, you need to not ruminate, and you need to not pay too much attention to the symptoms of your hyperstimulated immune system, because you're continuing the cycle of hyperstimulation. You're continuing the cycle of stress and the overexposure of stress that has happened to your immune system. If you feel a burning sensation like I felt, or you feel pains, fatigue, if you have coughing that you can't explain, all these other things, and you're like, well, something's wrong with me. Something's got to be wrong with me. I got to find out what it is. I got to go to the doctor. I got to do this. And, if you're really, really concerned, or you feel like you might actually be dying, please go to the doctor. Don't let me tell you not to go. Please go. Get checked out. But when your doctor looks at you and runs the test and he says, you're fine, take it as your sign. Okay. He didn't go to school for as long as he went to just be an idiot. He probably knows what he's doing. Even if he's just your average everyday family general practitioner, family medicine, he probably knows exactly what he's doing. Um, but yeah, that your system is hyperstimulated, and you need to start uh, working your way to mental, physical serenity and homeostasis, which requires you to be ritual about sleeping enough, ritual about breathing exercises, ritual about getting enough water, ritual about eating the right foods, or at least just eating enough foods. Um, and then if you have a symptom like, oh, my skin burns, or you have a symptom like, oh, I got this ache in my left side or in my right side that comes and goes, but sometimes it comes and it stays. Or I've just got this diarrhea all the time, or I've got this indigestion all the time. Treat it, especially if it's a gastrointestinal thing. Treat it. Take your Pepto-Bismol. Take your antacids. Take your Mylanta. But don't worry. Don't dive into that feeling. Just say, you know what? This is just my nervous system. Feel it. Let it pass. Don't overly try to make it go away. That's not how that works. If you try to fight a symptom of anxiety, especially anxiety related to mono, it's going to make it worse. It's going to make it hang around longer. Understand what it is. Let it pass. Then work with a therapist to start finding what your base issue. We already know that mono was the catalyst of your anxiety, and it might still be a playing factor. But now we got to find the base of the anxiety. We have to find what our trigger is, what our anxiety alarm is, and then we need to find a way to correct it and work back the other way. And then also don't isolate yourself. Don't overly isolate yourself. Go out as tolerable. Be with people. Talk with people. Laugh with people. And don't spend your every day thinking about mono. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. It's not good. It's not going to help you. It's not good for your relationships. It's not good for you. Do something else. Play a video game. Watch your favorite TV show. When you're at work, focus on your work. And the last thing I'll say, and I hope that you go onto the website, once again, anxietycentre.com. That's center with an R-E, so CENTRE.com. Look at there. Watch the videos. There's lots of great things on there. It's probably going to give you a lot of insight and realization onto what you're actually dealing with, that your battle with mono has probably been over and is over and probably has been over for a long time, even if you're at week 7, just like me. Oh gosh, I got off base again. You're most likely dealing with anxiety, friends. Really bad anxiety, for that matter. And so it's time to start tackling that. And I think once you do, you're going to feel a lot better. And more likely, if your Epstein-Barr panel is still testing with a high score of IgM, that's probably going to go down after that. Because your mind and body connection is really strong, guys. If you keep telling your body, hey, this is still active, then your body's going to be like, okay, I'll keep these antibodies going because I need to protect you from it. You're in control. That's never changed. If you've been dealing with mono for a really long time, it's likely not a terminal illness. The people that have chronic active Epstein-Barr virus, where they're dying and they have they're not long for this world, as you may have read on the internet like I did, they're sick. They're sick. They have acute symptoms that never go away and progressively get worse. If your acute symptoms have gone away and you're just dealing with the convalescent phase that seems to just never end, a lot of that is most likely anxiety, and that needs to be addressed. So I made this video because I wanted to share that with you. If that's something that hasn't come into your mind, that's something maybe you haven't been working on, and you're running out of options, and you're tired, and you're exhausted, and you don't know what to do. I just wanted you guys to know. And I'm very happy if you stuck around this long, and I hope this helps. All right, bye.